Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. Not sure how much actual wrestling we're going to talk about today, but we're gonna talk a lot. Russ, where do you want to
Yeah,
start?
there is so much wrestling news going on that from one day to the next, it's hard to keep up with it all. Lots of stories happening, and I just tell you what, you just take the lead here, and I'll follow along with you, and we'll see how much we can get covered in an hour.
Well, let's start with like the most obvious starting place. Last Wednesday, WWE announced that they are going to ESPN's streamer that launches at the end of next week. That will cost a whopping $30 a month
Yeah,
with potential extra cost for the PLEs. We don't know.
and this will be all of the PLEs leaving Peacock, and I'm assuming there'll be no WWE content left on Peacock, not even what they've archived.
SmackDown. SmackDown will be on Peacock.
Okay,
SmackDown archives. But here's where this deal gets really strange. So WWE is getting about $326 million a year for this deal with ESPN that will take them into 2031. It's a 5-year deal starting with WrestleMania next year that will go to right before WrestleMania in 2031. I believe it's 2031, maybe it's 2030. I can't remember. But this deal is a long-term deal. It's a long-term pivot to ESPN.
yes,
And when this news came out, everybody was like, well, what the fuck?
right.
Because Peacock, for its faults, and it has a fucking lot of them, everybody thought, well, they're going to go to Netflix at the end of this deal and everything's going to be fine. They'll just port everything over to Netflix and away we'll go.
That's what it seemed like. I don't understand why they have to milk us for so much money when, the rest of the planet gets everything on Netflix.
Well, let me keep talking here because this is going to get worse. So
Yeah, it
initially,
gets worse every time I hear something new. I'm pissed off.
well, get ready to be even more pissed off than you probably already are. So, in the initial press release, it was said that uh, if you had a cable subscription, you would get this new streaming service for included in your cable package. And then it comes
I'm
out,
already paying for ESPN Plus,
well,
and
that's not going to be part of this. Here's the
I
thing:
know that
ESPN
pisses me
Plus
off.
is ESPN Plus is a different deal.
I know.
I I need to grab it, and I should have grabbed it before we started recording, but give me a second here
Sure.
because this is bewildering.
Yes, it is confusing, and not all of the questions have been answered. Here's another question is that are they going to continue to archive their past pay-per-views? And if so, where and how much
Well,
more is it going to cost us?
okay.
I'll tell you what, I can understand why they're doing this because, uh, you know, uh, Triple H and his family are probably damn near on food stamps. They're living in such dire poverty. And, I can understand how the WWE desperately needs these extra funds, you know, seeing as how they're just so hitting on such hard times. Anyway,
Well, okay. So only certain cable providers are going to carry this subscription service included. It's like DirecTV, Comcast, the ones you'd expect, Hulu, and there's a couple other ones that I can't remember the name of.
well, Hulu's changing hands right now too.
Hulu Live TV is going to be dead by the time this deal launches.
Correct. Yeah. Then where the hell am I going to watch my Lost in Space reruns?
Disney Plus, because that's where all of Hulu is getting ported to.
Fucking Disney.
Now, it's worth noting Disney owns ESPN. Okay.
Right.
They own Marvel.
They own Marvel. Yep, they sure do.
And me and you have talked a lot about why that's probably the worst thing that's ever fucking happened to comic books in the history of ever.
Well, it's not been good for Marvel, in my opinion.
It's not been good for the comic book industry. Go
No,
look at the numbers. It's not been good for the entirety of the comic book industry. Everybody's
absolutely
fucking hurting
not.
right now.
Although DC is on a surge, it's not related to wrestling, but they are on a sales surge right now because they're going to regular bookstores and they're tapping into that manga market with that
Well,
size of book and that $10 format, and their sales are through the roof. Marvel is still stuck in the old comic book store way of doing things.
well, again, we're not talking about wrestling when we talk about this stuff, but DC gave James Gunn a lot of control when he
Yeah,
took over the film stuff. And James Gunn really likes anime and he really likes manga. So it makes sense that he would say, "Hey, this thing I like, we're going to lean into that a little bit."
right. I
It
mean,
makes
yeah,
sense. And it's gotten popular in the West, especially more so in the last 2 decades. Um, Russ, obviously, Disney owning everything is
it's not good. It's not good for the consumer.
now none of this is good for the consumer, especially when you hear how limited that the cable providers are going to be here. Now, folks, we're not sponsored by anybody on this show, and this certainly isn't a sponsored spot. But one thing I recommend everybody do when this cockamamie ESPN deal starts, go get a Mulvad VPN subscription. It's $5 a month, and it's a great VPN. Super secure. They don't take your email address. They don't take anything. They don't even take your name. You give them either your PayPal in the EU. If you live in Europe, you can pay for it in cash. Like it's $5 a month. You can VPN anywhere. VPN to Canada. Log into your Netflix,
Right.
and you will be able to watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, the PLEs, all under your Netflix subscription. You didn't hear
All the
that
way
from
back to
me.
WrestleMania 1 and before.
I don't know if Netflix has the full archives right
Oh, they
now.
don't. Well, they should. There's no reason why they shouldn't, except for pure greediness.
They're getting the archives. Netflix is getting the archives
Good.
internationally. But the WWE Vault YouTube channel is where I assume a lot of that stuff is going to live
Right.
going forward, and it's going to be in a limited capacity. Or, and I've thought that this is what they might do for a while, or since last week. I think they might make another deal with Peacock for the archives.
Well, that very well could be. Yeah.
Would
But
that
here's
be
the thing, how many different subscriptions, if you're a dedicated WWE fan, just think how many different services, if you don't have that VPN, you've got to subscribe to a lot of services. And it also is going to depend upon where you live and what's available.
well, I encourage everybody to get that VPN because it's what I use. It's how I watch AEW pay-per-views. It's how I've watched
It's,
WWE shows.
it'll
It's how
it'll
I watch
save you a ton of
SmackDown.
money in the long run, won't it?
It's how I watch SmackDown, and it's how when I actually give a shit to watch NXT, it's how I watch NXT. Granted, I don't watch NXT very much. I watched a little bit of it last week because Chelsea Green was on there,
Hmm.
and Chelsea Green is over in this household, so I was
Oh yeah.
watching that.
I'm
But
starting to say about Chelsea what I used to say about Bailey. Chelsea can do no wrong. She is just flat out entertaining.
Chelsea Green is fucking fantastic, and it
She's the
looks like
kind of guy that if I was a promoter, I would love to have as an employee because I recently read an interview. She said, what a great attitude. She said, who cares about winning matches if you get booked all the time?
she said that on WWE Unreal, which I also want to
That's
talk a little bit.
that's awesome.
I finally finished Unreal. I want to talk a little bit about it before this show is over. Again, folks,
Yeah.
if you're here for last week's recaps, just to give you an overall summation, that SmackDown show last week was one of the worst SmackDowns I've ever seen in my life, and that's not hyperbolic. That show was fucking horrendous. I thought Dynamite was good, and I thought Raw was serviceable at best. Again, we're not going to get to the rundowns that we normally do
Correct.
today because we've just got so much to talk about elsewise. Now, Russ, going back to this ESPN deal,
Yes.
they're going to have all the PLEs. They're going to have none of the archives, which it makes it funny that they're paying 60% more than Peacock was and getting less content. I don't know if they're getting the NXT shows. I assume they are. But this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
This also might tell you maybe all is not as well as it seems with Netflix, because I think if it was, we'd probably be talking about a Netflix deal right now.
Right. Well,
Maybe not. Maybe
we
there's
have
some trouble
read.
in
I
paradise.
have read that they have been disappointed in the numbers. They expected bigger numbers from Netflix in the United States. So
Internationally, I think they're doing incredibly well, but in the US, I don't know. Now, some of that could have to do with the US job market is in the tank. And
right,
that's not a political thing, by the way. If anybody wants to take that as a political
sure.
thing,
Plus the
go
fact
look at the
that I
go look
think
at the job numbers, folks. Like the US job economy is fucked. And
it's
that
not
is
good.
some of this. That is some of this, right? Like historically, when the economy has been down, wrestling has struggled. That is a pattern that has persisted for almost a century. When the economy goes down, pro wrestling goes down, and vice versa. Now, it was a little bit less of the case in the early 2000s when the economy dipped in 2008, because cable was so universal at that point that, even when the economy dipped, people kept their cable subscriptions because, and if you had your cable subscription back then, you could watch WWE, you could watch TNA, you could watch
Right.
whatever. But
Yep.
now
You
there's
can
going to
watch Ring
become
of
a time,
Honor. You can watch Ring of Honor on cable.
right? Ring of Honor had just, I believe, is that when they did their regional sports network deal with like FSN?
Hmm.
Is that when they just went to Fox
Yeah.
Sports Net for a
Well,
while?
you go way back on cable. There was even a brief period of time there where ECW had a national show. It wasn't
Right.
worth a flying fuck, but at least they had a national show.
It only lasted about 3 months, if I
I
remember correctly.
know. It was
But
it was an oddity.
it was weird. People forget that happened. Anyway, so I don't know what WWE is doing. Um, it does not appear the pay-per-view market is coming back. They're not
Right,
going to go back to the pay-per-view model. And that's what people were worried about when they were going to ESPN is, are they going to go back to the pay-per-view model? It does not appear that's going to happen. It
right.
appears that they are going to stick with the premium live event model on these streamers, which makes sense.
Yes.
Now, when this deal happened, Russ, it's going to lead into the thing that came out today that we're going to talk about now, which is the UFC deal. Everybody assumed when WWE went to ESPN that UFC was just going to re-sign with ESPN
Right.
and it would be business as fucking usual because it made sense.
Yep.
But that isn't what happened either.
What happened just today?
It happened just today, and I'm glad we waited to record today because this would have been a big mess. UFC announced a 7-year, $7.7 billion deal with Paramount Plus
Billion with a B.
with a capital B,
Well, like you
bro.
said before, they might as well just bought the whole company for that amount.
Now, TKO is worth more than $7 billion, but the UFC, you could probably get it for about that, maybe a little more. CBS, it's worth noting, their parent company, Viacom, used to own Bellator. They sold Bellator to PFL. So Bellator gets bought by PFL a couple of years ago, and now Viacom, CBS, who are in the middle of a merger anyway, get picked up, or they pick up the UFC for a lot of money. Dana White went on Pat McAfee's show today and did his usual mouth running and confirmed that UFC now is killing their pay-per-view model. And every show will be on Paramount with 13 shows a year airing on ESPN or on CBS, not ESPN.
Right.
ESPN is keeping none of this. ESPN desperately wanted to hang on to the UFC. desperately. Even after they got the WWE deal, they wanted to hang on to the UFC. They
Sure.
don't. They go to Paramount.
Yeah.
ESPN probably kind of feels like they got second place here, even though they did get what they wanted, which was WWE. They're buying the NFL network for a lot of money,
Wow.
which brings up a whole journalism integrity question with ESPN and the NFL, but that's not for the
Yes.
that's this is not the platform to discuss that as much as I'd love to.
Right.
Journalistic integrity at
Well,
ESPN
we
is
can
about to go down the
talk
tank.
about that on another show. Talk about that on the NFL.
Yeah, I'd like to. But I do think journalistic integrity at ESPN just went down the tank. And these moves kind of prove that.
Yeah.
When Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes both went on ESPN last week and praised the Brock Lesnar move, and Paul Heyman goes on Ariel Helwani and says Brock Lesnar is here and you can't cancel him, and da 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 da. What the fuck?
I know. It's not a good look. And they seem to be kind of oblivious to that. And possibly they're doing so well financially, they don't even need to worry about uh, you know, the class they're going to get back, you know?
Well, speaking of potential backlash,
Backlash. Yeah.
Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux confirmed yesterday, both via Twitter post and Killer Cross and Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, Kevin Kazar, whatever you want to call him, dropping the second part of the Killer documentary on his YouTube channel. It was confirmed through that as well as Scarlett's Twitter that they're done, they're gone. Ashante the Adonis was also let go, but that's far less noteworthy because that
I I heard, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I also had read about Austin Theory being released. Have you
no,
heard that? That is not
no,
true.
that was a bad report that came out last week. Austin Theory's not released. He's hurt.
Okay. I know we hadn't seen him in a while. I had not heard he had been injured. Thank you for confirming that.
Now, maybe they're going to release him after he gets cleared, but I haven't heard that.
Well, I think they never used him properly yet.
I don't think they know how to use him. Anyway, so Russ, Karrion Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux, who felt like they were the hottest act on the planet for the last 6 months,
Right.
are seemingly
Yeah.
maybe gone.
But
Are we being worked?
there's reason to question whether or not it may be a work after what we've been through this year. When we've been swerved several times this year, and you get to where you always got to wonder how much is real and how much is kayfabe.
Are we being worked?
Yeah, it's very possible. Wrestling, I think wrestling fans get worked all the time. I think even sometimes when they do shoot interviews, they're actually working too. I think
Oh,
there's
yeah.
work within works and works within shoots and shoots within works. And it's really, you know, I could go crazy trying to figure out what's what. So most of the time I just try to relax and enjoy the show
Russ,
if possible.
if Cross and Scarlet are done, and this is actually it, where
Yeah,
do you see them going from here? AEW would make some sense if only because Tony might want to capitalize on the heat.
right. TNA.
TNA, no, because TNA is WWE adjacent. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's looking more and more that way, and I think that is probably we're going to see more of that in the future.
do you think, because Cross and Scarlet can show up on Wednesday on Dynamite if they wanted to, if you're Tony Khan and you think there's even a 1% chance, are you not calling carrying Killer Cross
Oh
and
yeah,
Scarlet and saying, I will write you a blank fucking check right now.
yeah, and he can afford to.
Come to Dynamite on Wednesday, and I want you to absolutely kill MJF.
Right. And here's what you do. And also, you come in and give them a chance to give them an open microphone and say, feel free to shoot. Just shoot to your heart's content. Go. That could really be interesting.
Now, do I think Tony's going to do that? No.
No, no,
Do I think KROSS would do that? No.
nah, I don't know. If I was him, I would take my time because he's hot now and he's probably going to get some offers. I mean, assuming this isn't a gigantic work, but I would just wait and see who's going to give the best offer. Take it from there.
And he's capitalized on his YouTube success fairly well. He could do promos on his YouTube, right? For the
Right.
next God knows how long.
Well, he's one of those wrestlers too that, there's been a few in the past. And, one that comes to mind is Damian Sandow. But sometimes when a wrestler is not being pushed hard by the company, but they get over because they have an organic relationship with the audience. They get over with the audience. There's an emotional connection. And that's something I think, at least in the past, the WWE has not really liked that and not known how to work with it. Hopefully, that'll change.
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like it's going to with them bringing Brock Lesnar back. And
No, that seems I don't get that. I don't understand it. I'm not excited to see Brock Lesnar.
we talked about it last week
I
after SummerSlam that this feels rushed.
it
And
it, it well the whole thing too. They I mean I'm sure they're gonna give him a match with John Cena,
oh yeah.
but I still am adjusting to this ridiculous, in my opinion, totally ridiculous, pointless heel turn, face turn to John Cena. It's just it has not worked. John Cena does not make a good heel.
Well, he's a babyface again. That's the good news. Uh, Russ,
Yeah, but it's just that at this point I don't give a shit.
have
He's
you
going to retire
seen
soon and we'll never see it again. And sorry, bud, you blew it with me. I don't give a shit. I'm done with you.
have you seen the report that came out today about what they're going to do? September 20th, which is the same day as All Out in Toronto.
Oh, they're going to throw another pay-per-view in PLE, aren't they?
Yep,
Bad Blood.
I would assume so.
Okay, I heard it might. Yeah, but there might bad. Yeah, that more of that counter programming against that company that's allegedly not a threat.
Russ, I think they're a threat.
Obviously, because their ratings are going up,
But we
and
don't know
you and
what their
I
numbers
both
are on
know
Max.
that
We
their
don't know what their
programs are
numbers
getting
are.
better.
We don't know what their numbers are on HBO Max either.
Right. Well, that's right.
And
That's a relatively recent thing. Yeah, but yeah, their shows are getting better, and right now WWE seems to be in a mode where I feel very uncertain about their future. They keep doing this stuff, and I'm going to get to the point to where I'm like, fuck it, I'm done with the WWE. It was nice while it lasted. I'm done. We got other wrestling companies to look at now. So long, sayonara.
I mean, for as long as
But
we're
I
doing this
probably
show,
won't.
we're going to cover WWE probably.
Oh, sure. Even if it gets as bad as it did during the COVID era, we'll probably still keep watching it.
Now, worth noting, Russ, that once WWE moves to ESPN, the wrestling company with the most accessible archives is going to be, get this, TNA.
Yeah, that's right.
The company that should have been dead at least 25
Right.
times.
Oh, a lot of people don't know that TNA has a YouTube channel, and you can find almost every single pay-per-view they've had since the first one complete for free on that channel, plus the archives they got on their own site, with their own subscription.
TNA Plus. And then, and then you factor all this in. Somebody did the math. Next year, to be a WWE fan who watches everything, I'm talking CW's NXT, I'm talking uh SmackDown, Raw, the PLEs, whatever the hell else they decide to do next year, they will probably find a way to add another show to this hodgepodge.
Yeah.
All of this, it is going to cost upwards of $93 to watch everything a month.
It's ridiculous. And most people are not going to be able to afford that, and they aren't going to be willing to pay it. So,
And I know people who can afford it, who I have talked to, and they have said, nope.
not even though they can't afford it, they're not going to do it because it's too much hassle.
They have said, nah, dude, I think I'm good. I know a lot of people right now who are sitting there who are like me and either going to use a VPN, they're either going to use a VPN like I will. I'm going to come right out and say it. I'm going to use a VPN.
Mhm.
Sue me. Or, or they're going to just not watch all the shows. I know
Yeah.
people who are just going to watch the PLEs, right? They're going to subscribe to the ESPN thing and they're just going to watch the PLEs.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people that do that anyway, that just watch they just watch the PLEs because that's what they care about, and that's okay.
Right.
They're more casual wrestling fans, right?
Right.
That just watch. They're not like us who sit here for at least an hour every week and talk about the intricate details of the booking, you
Right.
know, and why KROSS has been mishandled in 17 different ways. Uh, they're not like that.
Yeah.
Not, believe it or not, Russ, not every wrestling fan is as psychotic as us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And we are psychotic.
There's a whole range of, there's people out there even more fanatic than us, Uh, there's people
Green
that are
shirt guy.
there's people that are willing to stand in line for 8 hours or more to meet their favorite wrestler, and I absolutely not only will not do that. Even if I wanted to, I physically could not do it.
The only like wrestler meet and greet thing I would even consider going to in the next 12 months is if Killer Cross does his book tour and it goes through Minnesota. I would probably go to that
Yep.
because those book tour events for wrestlers are generally more low key,
Right.
generally calmer. There's generally not as many people because usually in order to get in, you have to buy a book,
Right.
which Russ, I don't know if you know this, a lot of wrestling fans don't want to do that.
Well, maybe some of them don't even read books.
But Russ, if I gave you the choice between going to SummerSlam next year, going to, because here's the thing, I think AEW is going to have a pay per view in Minnesota next year as well. And if they do that, dude, look,
Oh yeah.
here's the thing. The last time AEW did a pay per view in Minneapolis, it was Full Gear 2021, which, depending on who you talk to, is one of the best shows they've ever done.
Yeah.
Because that's the show where Omega drops to Hangman, Punk wrestled Eddie Kingston in that fucking awesome match. And here's a shocker for you. That show opened with, get this, MJF versus Darby Allin.
Right. Yeah. That seems like a million years ago.
Which does that not feel insane now?
Right.
If I told you, hey, MJF and Darby Allin are opening this show now, you'd be like, what?
Right.
Why? Huh? Why?
Right. Right.
Now, isn't it funny? Full circle, Hangman Adam Page is the world champion again, at least for now.
Right. Also, here's an AEW programming note for those of you that care. Stokely Hathaway is going to be wrestling this Wednesday night.
Yeah, let's shift gears a little bit. We've been talking so much about WWE. Let's talk a little AEW here. So they've announced a couple of matches for Forbidden Door.
Yes, they have. That's coming up the last Sunday, or wait, no, second to last Sunday of this month.
There you go. Now, worth noting,
Kyle Fletcher versus, oh, we don't know who he's going to be wrestling here yet, do we?
now,
But
here are the
I think
matches.
we're definitely going to get a title defense from him.
Here are the matches we know about. Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to wrestle somebody. We know that.
All right. Yes.
This is this is Tanahashi's last Forbidden Door. He's going to wrestle somebody. They're doing an eliminator tournament to determine who's going to wrestle the Hurt Syndicate. Okada versus Strickland. Athena versus Tony Storm for the women's title. Mercedes Monet versus Alex Windsor versus a female from
See
Stardom.
Windsor?
Yeah, Windsor. Alex Windsor.
Alex Windsor? Okay, yeah. She's relatively new to the company, isn't she?
She's relatively new, but freaking awesome at the same time. And then
Right.
there's also going to be a female wrestler from CMLL and a female wrestler from Stardom.
Correct. That'll be interesting.
Kyle Fletcher will defend against a member of the New Japan roster, his TNT title. And then Zack Sabre Jr. will defend his IWGP heavyweight title against a member of the AEW roster. We don't know who yet.
I read an interview with Eddie Kingston. He was really, really hoping to be back for Forbidden Door, but he has indicated that it seems very unlikely that he's going to physically be able to compete.
Yeah, I would
Very
agree with that.
unlikely. What's that?
I would agree that it seems pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he's, and I don't know, have you seen pictures of him lately? He's gone totally gray, man. He looks like he's aged about 30 years.
Well, he's been gone a while, man.
Yeah,
He's been gone, what, 18 months
yeah,
at least?
at least. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure by the time we get to the show, they're going to have probably have, like they usually, they're probably going to have about a dozen matches. And then they'll have a pre-show, they'll have like a couple of, 16-man tag team elimination tournaments or some shit.
Well, Russ, I want your opinion on the main event of Dynamite last week because I do want to talk about this because I thought the match was good, not great. MJF versus Mark Briscoe. I thought it was a good match, not great.
Yes.
What did you
Yeah,
think?
I thought it was very good. I'm glad that they are. Yeah, that was I figured that MGF was going to win, but they have been giving Mark Briscoe a little bit more of a push here lately. They've been using him more, and yeah, it was okay. I wouldn't say it was great, but I certainly enjoyed Dynamite a lot more than I did SmackDown last week.
Oh my God. Okay. I want to note here, I did miss a good chunk of Raw last week. So we're not going to talk too much about last week's Raw. What I saw of it was fine. Russ, would you agree that Raw was
Yeah,
summarily fine?
yeah. Well,
But
I personally, out of what we late in recent weeks, the ones I've been enjoying the most are the Sheamus and Rusev matches. I think those have been just excellent.
they're going to put those two together in a tag team, I think. But yeah.
I could see that working.
But Russ, let's talk about because I thought it was so offensively bad. Let's talk about SmackDown last week.
Oh man, what a disappointment.
This
I'm just
show,
not buying this. You know, and there's something about the MFT storyline that just isn't doing it for me. It feels like it feels like this bloodline storyline should have been over. But
or gone in a different direction at least.
yeah, I just, I don't know where they're going. Uh, they brought in Jeff Cobb, and he's great, but overall, bringing in these new guys hasn't really added a whole lot more excitement, and has it added a lot more eyes onto this group. I don't know. I feel like Solo Sokoa is better than is actually a lot better than what we're getting to see him. What do you think?
I
Also,
agree.
I'm also a little surprised that they're really pushing Sami Zayn here lately too.
Well, they kind of have to. He's super fucking over.
I
Anyway,
know.
but that has not seemed to matter to them lately. Anyway, let's talk about SmackDown. This SmackDown show that I thought was so awful kicked off with a John Cena promo.
Yeah.
When I tell you folks that this promo from Cena might have been the best part of the show, it
Yeah.
was
Well,
it was downhill from here.
yeah.
Cena tells Brock Lesnar that if he wants some, he can come get some. And he tells everybody in the back the same. He is then cut off by Logan Paul,
Right.
who apparently wanted some. Cena wanted to fight him in Montreal. Logan Paul said, no, we're going to do it in Paris.
Right.
So it is Logan Paul versus John Cena at Clash in Paris. Then Cena gets attacked by Drew McIntyre. Here comes Cody Rhodes. Apparently they're friends now.
Just like that. It's amazing how much how quickly the evil deeds are forgiven. It's amazing, isn't it? But in this case, to me, it just feels forced. It feels forced and unbelievable. And
Well,
yeah, you could
anyway,
hear the crowd's reaction, the live crowd's reaction. They're just going ape shit for a chance to cheer John Cena one last time. And
hard
I
to blame
guess
him.
I guess that's why I will never feel like I'm really like hardcore WWE universe type fan, because it just feels like a lot of bullshit to me.
Anyway, these four end up brawling. It sets up a tag match for later on in the night that we will talk
Yes.
about later. It wasn't really much of a match at all. We then had
Right.
the Motor City Machine Guns against the MFTs. Russ, you just talked about it. MFTs get the win. What was the point of this? I don't know. The match was fine, but I don't know what the point was. Then, probably the best actual match on the show was Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn in a non-title match.
Yes, and the non-title match that Sammy won.
This was the only good match on the show. Like on this entire show, there was one good match, and this was it.
Yeah,
And why Sammy won, I don't know, but because he's gonna Sami Zayn's on Raw, first of all, so why is he wrestling a champion from SmackDown?
yeah. I don't know. Like I said, they've always played pretty fast and loose with that draft.
We then get a Alexa Bliss Charlotte Flair birthday celebration.
Yeah, this was goofy. What's this goofy? Is that a good word for it? Or is that too nice a word for it?
That's too nice. You're being nice again, Russ. Stop it. Um,
It was goofy as hell.
This was stupid.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I'm not going to bother going through what was said here. Chelsea Green cut this whole thing off, and thank God she did.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately,
always
she ends up
entertaining.
wrestling. Unfortunately, she ends up wrestling Charlotte Flair and not Alexa.
Right.
This match would have been a lot better if it was Alexa Bliss and Chelsea Green.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Anyway, Chelsea Green gets covered in birthday cake. Ha ha, the heel loses. Nobody cares.
Right.
We then get the main event. There was a whopping 4 matches on this 2 hour show.
Yeah. 4 matches. Then we get the Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. And
Against
let's see,
Cena,
how the hell did this thing end? Do you remember?
Ashmaz. Um,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
so this wasn't really a match, right? This
No.
was more of an angle than a match. Cena and Rose are given the win by way of disqualification. It would seem we're headed for Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, which people have wanted for like a year and a half,
Right.
and they just haven't done it until now.
Yes.
Anyway, Drew Glasgow kicked or hit a claymore or whatever the hell that kick he does is called through the table. No one cared.
Knocked Cody Rhodes. He hit his head on the table. Knocked him out supposedly.
Yeah, the match ended on a Logan Paul nut kick to Cena.
Right. Oh, that was Paul. That's right. Logan Paul.
Russ, I give SmackDown last week a roaring F.
F.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe since they had one good match, maybe a D minus, but that's pretty bad. Yeah, SmackDown sometimes it seems like more of a chore.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
Russ, when was the last time you watched SmackDown and thought, damn, I really enjoyed that?
I can't remember. I can't. There has been a time. There was a time years ago when SmackDown was better than Raw, but that's been a
It
long
wasn't,
time ago.
I would say, right before WrestleMania 40 when it was Rock, Roman, and Cody all the time on that show.
Yeah,
I thought that was enjoyable. I thought the build up to Mania this year was somewhat enjoyable at points. I thought, you know, I thought maybe they could capitalize on that positive momentum, and instead they took a big fat shit on it.
yeah.
Anyway, fuck SmackDown, fuck the USA Network, fuck Brock Lesnar, and most definitely of all, God damn it, Triple H, what the fuck are you doing, brother?
I don't know, man. Yeah,
Has Russ, when was the last time you enjoyed a SmackDown? I don't think you know. I think it was last year.
yeah. I can't remember it. It's been a while.
Russ, did you watch Collision?
I watched part of it. The reason why I usually try to watch at least part of Collision is because I'm an FTR fan. And that's you're not going to see them on Wednesday night hardly ever. Very rare. So I enjoy FTR. I think they should be used more. I think they should be used better. But overall, Collision is, it's kind of like the old WCW Saturday Night. You have a few stars, but it's definitely the B show. Let's put it this way: definitely the B show.
Russ is our good soldier who still watches Collision for some godforsaken reason.
Yeah, I usually fast forward through the parts that don't have FTR in them, though.
I I remember Russ, I remember our exact conversation where I quit Collision. It was the second or third Collision after Punk got fired, and
Right.
that show was so awful.
Yeah.
I texted you after it was over and I said I've never fucking watching Collision ever again in my life.
Yeah.
And you said, "Okay."
Yeah.
All you said was, "Okay."
Okay. Yeah. Because, yeah, it's like,
I texted you and I think I could find the text if I scrolled back far enough, but I legitimately said, "I'm never fucking watching this show again."
and you haven't, have you?
And I have not watched Collision again
You
since.
kept your word, brother.
I have
A
kept
man
my
of
word.
integrity.
Have I been tempted to watch Collision a couple of times? Yes. Have I actually watched Collision? No. I have better things to do, like watching paint dry, or
Yes.
perhaps, or perhaps shoving my head into a meat grinder would be a better activity than watching Collision on any given week. Now, when Jay White comes back, if they shove Jay White back on Collision again, maybe I'll watch Collision.
Yes.
But Russ, it seems like, according to Tony Khan, Jay White is going to be out for a very long time.
Oh, yeah, that sounds really bad.
Yeah. So, Russ, Dynamite is in Glasgow next week
Yes, that's right.
because the pay per views in England, the pay per views in London.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. See how their audience, and from what I understand, they it's sold really well too.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know what I've noticed about like alternatives to WWE, whether it was TNA, AEW, you name it, they always do better internationally than they do domestically. Non WWE wrestling companies do.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. Like TNA was like the biggest company in England for a long time.
Yes.
So weird.
There was another wrestling news story within the last week I found very interesting. WNBA star of the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham, actually did receive an offer from WOW, Women of Wrestling,
The
small
most
company.
desperate wrestling company on the planet does it again.
They,
Oh my God.
well, I tell you, it reminds me of Glow. Do you remember GLOW, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling? Uh, It's sort of like
Yeah.
that same kind of genre. You have some good work. I know Willow Nightingale started out in WOW. That's where I first saw her, but she was good enough that she got out of there, you know? Anyway, apparently she said she was flattered. She said thank you, but no thank you. I was thinking like you did when you heard about it. She is so tough that she would destroy about most of their roster. She could probably destroy very easily.
Who's even on the WOW roster right now?
A bunch of people, a bunch of wrestlers that I don't know who they are and I'm not familiar with. They occasionally bring in some known stars from the indies, but it's like old school WWE. They always got a new name, a new gimmick. They're totally repackaged. And in my opinion, WOW is really not very good. But that's just my opinion. If you like WOW, God bless you. Watch it, support them. I want every wrestling company to do well and to prosper because I love pro wrestling, but I don't want to watch them all. Any familiar names on their roster?
I'm looking at this roster and I'm just consistently thinking to myself, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, yeah. They really they
Okay.
feel very, very much like 1980s style gimmicks and vignettes
Is
and
everybody in this company in a stable? Holy shit.
yeah.
Wasn't AJ Lee in there at one point as a
Yes, she was.
commentator? And didn't
Yeah,
she quit like 2 weeks in?
something like that, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Oh, Holly Swag, Penelope Pink. Okay. Penelope Pink. You know what Willow Nightingale's name was in that company? Eye Candy. Eye Candy. I'm not making that up. That's how fucking ridiculous that company is. I mean, I get it. I think Willow looks great. She's my kind of physique, but that's a stupid name. That's kind of insulting. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, though, that they were looking to the WNBA, which is, other than pro wrestling, is rapidly becoming my favorite sport to watch on TV. My wife is responsible for getting me into it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but she said thanks, but no thanks.
The WNBA is entertaining as hell, and anybody that wants to say it's not good is just wrong. I thought the WNBA finals last year were awesome.
Yeah,
I thought the entire playoffs were great. The WNBA does have a problem, however, which is uh, they have one player who is so clearly a million miles ahead of the rest of everybody else,
yeah,
and that being Caitlin Clark.
right.
And I know this isn't a WNBA podcast, but can we just talk about the fact that Caitlin Clark has pretty much gone on record and saying that she's probably not leaving Indiana, and if she does, it would take an insane amount of money, and she's
Yeah,
planning on playing there her entire career. If I'm the WNBA commissioner, I'm thinking, I want this chick in LA. I want this
yeah,
chick in New York. I do not want her in the middle of the fucking country where nobody's going to fucking watch.
yeah. But they are watching.
But she very much feels like the LeBron of the WNBA in a sense of when LeBron came into the league and was just so clearly a mile
Dominant.
ahead
Yeah,
a mile ahead of everybody else, and just nobody else had any business being on the floor with LeBron at the time. And you watch Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark is healthy, and I know she's hurt right now, and that's kind of been a problem for the Fever, right? And again, we're not
yes.
talking about the WNBA here for too much longer, but the Fever and the WNBA's biggest problem is Caitlin Clark can't stay healthy.
No, she hasn't played in a while. Nope.
Not consistently,
Out
anyway.
hurt. Yep. All right. Now, anything can you what's on the agenda for Raw tonight? I believe Ivy Nile has a match, if I remember right, which I think we should be seeing more of. I think she's underused. I think she's really good.
Well, the Naomi match got canceled,
Okay, all right, because she's apparently not cleared for some reason.
supposedly. So the announced stuff is CM Punk is starting the show. Why? I don't know. We're getting a women's intercontinental championship match, Russ. Listen to this. Becky Lynch is defending her women's intercontinental title against Maxine fucking Dupree.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Ivy Nile. Nope, my mistake. My mistake. I wish it was. It should be Ivy Nile. I think Maxine Dupree. Wow. I guess they're going to push her, but I'm not that high on her, really.
I think she's got potential, but what?
Yeah, I was mistaken. I thought I was remembering it correctly. I thought I had heard Ivy Nile's name.
Sami Zayn versus Rusev.
Right. Might be good.
And we don't know anything else because they scrapped the other match they had announced because Naomi's hurt.
Right. So we'll just have to see what they come up with.
Do you think they can fly Karrion Kross into the building quick enough to have him be an end of the show surprise because they had to cancel the fucking main event
They
of the show?
Yeah. I doubt if we'll see him, but it could be interesting to see how this develops, It doesn't look like work, but that doesn't mean it's not. I'm always a little I'm suspicious of everything we hear because we get worked so much, That's part of the fun of pro wrestling usually.
Russ,
And
Russ, WWE is headed in such a bad direction. What would they have to do?
I think they're in Quebec tonight, so the crowd will be hot for Sammy.
We were talking about this earlier, and I think it's a good conversation. What would WWE have to do to make you say, fuck this, I'm not watching?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to
I
say
have my
because
answer. I
what's
know what
that?
my answer is. If they put the belts on Brock Lesnar again,
Oh yeah, yeah, that would piss me off to no end. I wouldn't put it past him either.
Russ, I'm telling you, if they put the belts on Brock Lesnar again, we will not be covering WWE for a while.
Yeah,
We
and
will do retro shit
I'd be
this will
fine with
become
that.
this will become a retro wrestling thing
That's right.
so fucking fast.
Hell yes. We'll go back and we'll watch. Watch matches from 1958 on the Dumont Network. Dory Dixon versus Freddie Blassie.
I will not watch a Brock Lesnar title reign. I will not. I will not watch a. I just put up with a John Cena title run. I couldn't do a Brock Lesnar. No, no, absolutely not. No, no.
Yeah.
That would be my point of just saying
Well, let's hope it doesn't happen, but it could.
it
It's
could.
going to matter. It's going to matter to them, I think, more how it plays internationally than it does here in the United States. Because, like I said, they're making most of their money overseas.
A, a majority of John Cena's remaining dates are international dates,
Right.
which is crazy.
And he's only got about 10 or 11 left, something like that. Maybe a dozen.
I
Getting down.
believe it's 11 now.
Anyway, did you hear Paul Heyman's comments about the new program about the behind the scenes thing? What's it called? WWE Unreal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I found his comments interesting. He wasn't going to come right out and knock it, but it's obvious he was saying he basically said, if I want to keep working in the wrestling business, it's something that I have to accept. And he was extremely uncomfortable with being so open about the workings of the business with people outside the business because he grew up in a different era. But overall, despite of that show, I think I've heard the people talking about the Disneyfication of the WWE, and that this kind of process is not going to be good for the wrestling product. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all.
give it
Yeah,
two years. This will be a mess.
I've watched a couple episodes of it, and I'm it's just
Okay,
it seems kind of pointless to me because they're really not giving away that much that we didn't know already. And they're definitely slanting the whole thing to make Triple H to be the greatest fucking wrestling genius and hero in the history of the business, you know? And it's very, very much his platform. Am I reading too much into that, or do you feel that way too?
it's a promotional vehicle to turn Triple H into Dana White 2.0. That's what it is.
Well, I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see what happens. I'll keep watching to see what happens. Yes, I will. I'll keep watching to see.
I don't see. Look, if this Karrion Cross thing is a work,
Yeah. Well, I hope it is because I'd like to see him on WWE.
hear me out. If this Cross thing is a work, I think this is season 2 of WWE Unreal happening right in front of our faces.
Oh, yeah. It very well could be. Yeah.
Because his documentary team already recorded everything.
That's right. Well,
Russ up,
he's been in the business for at least what, 15, 20 years, something
he's been
like that.
around. He's been around a
Yeah.
long time.
And so he's a veteran, but every time I've seen him in the ring, I wasn't that familiar with him because I spent some time in the last week going online and finding some old Killer Cross matches from TNA, and those were really good, really good. I
This
mean,
might
this
surprise
guy
you.
has just been so badly used in WWE. It's a shame.
This might surprise you. Devlin does not like Karrion Cross at all.
Okay, all right. Well, to each his own.
But me and you are like, fuck, and hey, this guy's good.
Yeah, well, I started really liking him once I just started paying attention to him.
And his mic work is, I think his promo is probably his biggest asset. His mic skills are a
Right.
lot of who he is.
And Scarlett, it seems
And
to me
Scarlett.
like her wrestling career as a singles wrestler, it seems like it didn't last very long.
Well, okay. Here's what I think happened. I think she realized she didn't like taking bumps very much.
Okay. Yeah.
And maybe she said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I can get over running around with Cross.
Right.
And they're married anyway. They've been married for a couple of years now.
Yeah. But she
And
looks pretty good too. She ain't bad looking. Kind of a
I mean,
pretty gal.
they've really found a niche in their act that works. And here's the thing, the character he was playing towards the end in WWE will work on the indies, right?
Yes.
Adjust it a little bit. That will work on the indies if that's what he wants to do, if this isn't a work. But I still think there's a really, really good chance that Bad Blood rolls around and it's the end of the show and John Cena just pinned Brock Lesnar and the crowd is going fucking ape shit. Lights go out, fall and pray.
Mhm. Yeah.
Russ, I want to pitch something to you before we end the show here.
All right.
I think Karrion Cross should be John Cena's second to last opponent. Not
Oh
last. I
yeah.
think that should be
Oh, I
Gunther.
think that'd be a great match.
Gunther should be Cena's last opponent, but I think second to last should be Karrion Cross. And I think it should be Karrion Cross and John Cena at Crown Jewel in Perth.
Oh yeah.
Because hear me out. They're doing Crown Jewel in Perth, right? Rhea Ripley is probably main eventing that show against Naomi or whoever the women's world champion is at that time. And I think you could open the show, or maybe you even co main event it with Cena and Cross. No countouts, no disqualifications. Just let those two go out there and fight. Because when you just let Cena, like we saw it in the Cody match, when you let Cena go out there and have a straight fight, that fucker can still go.
Yes,
A
you can.
brawl in a brawl type match, Cena can still go. And that's what Cross is good at too. So
Right.
let those two go out there and kill each other for 30 minutes.
I got a question about Karrion Cross from a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. Whatever didn't he used to Andrew with was it Akam and Razor? Uh,
They were they were a
whatever
faction
happened to
until
those guys? They were there for a while. You
they
know
got
what I'm
released.
referring to?
They got released.
Okay, well, I thought that they were underused. What did they call the Final Testament? That's what it was called.
And that really didn't work.
Not really, but I thought it had potential. Apparently more. Apparently it didn't, but I thought it did.
So do you remember Vincent and Dutch from AW?
Uh, yeah, I think so.
So there was a pitch made by Bray Wyatt and Karrion Cross right when Bray and Karrion both came back. Because remember, those two came back at the same time. I think Cross came back a couple months earlier than Bray did. But before Bray got sick again and got hurt again, and obviously what happened with Bray Wyatt was so unfortunate,
Yes.
all that. But before what happened with Bray Wyatt happened, the pitch was he wanted WWE to go sign Dutch and Vincent, and they were going to do the Wyatt Six, which, say what you want about it, would have worked better with Bray Wyatt.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
This faction would work a lot better with Bray Wyatt. But then they wanted to do a separate faction on the other brand with Cross, Dutch, and Vincent.
That would have been
And
interesting.
that would have been fascinating. They would have been a part of the Wyatts, but they would have been on another show.
Yeah,
And let's not forget, towards the end of his WWE run, Bray Wyatt was fucking bulletproof. You couldn't touch that guy.
that's right.
Like, say what you wanted about his in-ring stuff, his promos were still
Nobody
up
else
here.
like him. Totally
There,
unique.
there probably never will be again. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this week.
Right.
We will be back here next week, as always. But quick programming note, our Forbidden Door review may be delayed. I am moving back to Minnesota. We've talked about this each of the last couple of weeks. I am going back to Minnesota. Um, the Dakotas, I've lived in both of them now. Can't say I ever want to live in South Dakota again. I'd move back to Fargo, but not in the cards right now. So I am moving back to the Twin Cities area. Thank goodness. Back to some sanity and some civility. Uh, we're gonna get some shit in the comments for that one. I don't care. Um,
All right.
as
Well, this
soon
next week we'll expect to see more build up to Clash in Paris and All In.
you mean
And
Forbidden
who
Door?
knows? Probably from day to day, this whole thing with ESPN is continuing to evolve or devolve, if you will.
I would say devolve right now.
Yeah, it's just seems like a big mess, but oh well.
Oh well, indeed.
Like I said, VPN.
All right, folks.
Peace.
Everybody have a great rest of your week. We will see you next time. Enjoy the wrestling as much as you can. I know things seem a little dire in WWE right now, but hopefully they get it right. And Damon, play your fucking music.